quite a few people on today. So we'll start off with some housekeeping. First and foremost, my name is Colleen DeLang. I teach for many of the associations. I'm also a staff member at my REALTORS. But the reason that I teach this class is because, one, I've been a licensed agent myself for 23 years now, makes me feel old. And I also started off working at the front desk of my brokerage. So for many years, I was an admin. And I will say to all of you admins, it is the hardest job ever. Handling agents, sometimes agents with big personalities, while you're answering the phone, while you're trying to set up showings and someone needs help binding something for a CMA appointment, and you really are the person who does it all. So thank you from an agent who used to be an admin for what everybody does each and every day. But one of the things about being an admin is because you are constantly getting pulled in so many different directions. It's so important to have a really vast knowledge of the MLS and how it works. Because let's face it, when an agent can't find something, you are the first person they're calling, or you are the first person they're coming to. And so that's really how we design this class. So this is not a class I teach very often. It's hard to get admins all together at the same time. But I thought I could show you a couple things that I thought were really cool that may help you, just a couple time-saving tips so that you're not doing things in a redundant fashion. I'm going to go over kind of all over the board today, everything from adding in new listings to cloning a listing. A lot of admins don't know that you can actually clone a listing as long as it's with that same agent. Instead of if it let's say expired and now a year later they're relisting it, you can actually clone that listing. So a lot of cool things. I'm hoping to give you some tips that will help you with efficiency, as well as answer those questions that maybe you weren't too sure about. This class, more than ever, I would love it if you would ask any question as we go along. So in your GoToWebinar panel, which was probably minimized at the right-hand side of your screen, it's kind of like an orange-red arrow. If you open that up, you will see a questions box down at the bottom. That's where you can put in questions. And please don't feel like you have to hold all your questions to the end. If something pops in your mind, probably someone else is thinking that same question. Again, this class goes a lot better when it's a little more interactive. But I am going to ask just one person, if you don't mind, if you could actually go down to that questions box and just let me know that you can see and hear me okay. Every once in a while, I'm recording this so you can go back to it. And every once in a while, I'll look at the recording and for the first 5 minutes, there was no sound, or, the picture was all blurry. So, please let me know if just one person can pop in the questions box. We can go ahead and get started. That way I'm assured that you can hear me and you won't miss anything. All right, great. Thank you so much, Erica. I appreciate it. Thanks, Francine, too. All right, so I'm going to turn off my very fuzzy hair today because it's been raining now, all overnight, and everything's kind of flooded in this whole area. Matter of fact, we had a couple of houses that completely flooded down the street. So I'm going to turn off my fuzzy hair and we're going to get into it. But like I said, I'm going to show you a couple tips on the agent side so that you can really help them. But really the majority of where I want to spend the time is like setting up reports for the office. But I really would love to hear your questions because I have found that the times that I've taught this class, some of the questions directed the whole course of our class. And with you guys, when we brought on the UP, we had no idea how different it was going to be. And let me kind of explain why you had some challenges in the beginning too. And again, my heart goes out to you. I know it was not an easy transition. When we started data sharing 12 years ago, first of all, in Michigan, there are 34 different MLSs in the state of Michigan, which is kind of mind-blowing. Most states have 3 to 5 MLSs for the entire state. Some have 1. So it's kind of amazing. And here in Michigan, we have 34. All doing things a little bit different, which made it extremely challenging to create data sharing. Now, NAR's got a big push right now. Their goal is to help enhance data sharing because they really feel if we are going to be able to compete with sites like Realtor.com and Zillow and these other IDX and syndication sites, agents now have to be able to deliver more of the information faster than the consumers are finding it on these sites. And it really has become very challenging. So our goal was 12 years ago, when we kind of saw some of this coming together, was to create a statewide database, not one monopoly, because we don't believe in that. That would be bad, but actually where everyone could use their home MLS database and see all the listings that they needed. And then there was the question, well, if I only sell up here in the UP, why do I need down here in the, top of the mid? Well, actually, it's surprising when we run those numbers. Very often someone is listing a family member's home, or someone is trying to tell someone what their home is worth. And if they can't see the data, then the consumers on these consumer sites are actually getting more data and better data than we could give as the trusted professional. We didn't want that to happen. So our goal was to bring all of these MLSs into kind of a repository, if you will. So the information goes into the bucket and you can pull out what you need. Whether you're on Flex, I know the Eastern UP uses the Flex system. Whether you're on Rapatoni, whether you are on Matrix or Remind, we have brought all of those systems together. So MLS of choice, you could belong to the MLS and the board of choice that you choose, but still have all the tools to do your job efficiently. And that's why we've pushed so hard for data sharing. What is unfortunate is when we brought UP on board, your geography is so different. There were many things that we unfortunately didn't anticipate. That didn't apply to the other 31 MLSs or the other 30 MLSs that we brought into the data share. Things like searching on the Great Lake, and things like shoreline information, and things that we really didn't take enough into account were going to be so important. So I know the transition was difficult, but I do have to tell you, I hope that as we go through the system, you'll see some great improvements and some things that have changed over time to make it easier. Okay, with that being said, my long-windedness is over, but I did want to let you know that really the goal of data sharing is now we've got 97% of the state actually in the data share. And why that's so important is we now, for the first time, really have all the information. And we have things like seller's disclosures and lead-based paints that those syndication sites don't have, and we're making them available to the members. And that is a huge help. All right, so again, I'm going to now show you some basic things that the agents may come and ask you, but then we're going to get in more as we go along to some of the agent roles too. So hopefully that sounds good. Again, fire away with any questions that you have. If someone's asked you a question recently and you're like, oh, geez, I should ask that question, put it in that questions box, and I'm going to stop periodically and we're going to go through it. All right, so at this point, you should be seeing my screen. The screen is going to look a little bit different just in that center section, because obviously where you are, UPAR controls that center section. That's where they put great things like upcoming classes that they have, events, things you need to know. So they basically control that center section. When I first logged into Paragon, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's why I think sometimes they get worried when I teach this class. Because after using the system for years and years, I can tell you there's some things that I love, and there's some things I truly do not. So I will share both of those with you today. The first thing that I noticed, and even way back when I was an admin, I have a little OCD and I like things in a certain order. And for me, the way this dashboard is set up is not my favorite. So if you are logging in as an admin and you are finding that it's bumpy and chunky, it might be because you need to actually organize this like an admin would need. So let me show you a couple quick tips. One, I am right-handed and very right-brained. So I'm going to actually move my quick search over to the right, because it's easier for me to jump and tab through the information. And yes, I did say tab. So if you're entering information, feel free to hit tab to jump to the next field. So you don't have to keep clicking and clicking and clicking. Who has time for that? You can obviously jump around via your tab button. The other thing that was really important to me is as an admin, at the top, you probably want to make sure your market monitor is here. And let me explain why. Your market monitor, of course, will show you what's going on as far as listings for your office. So let's say that every day you're going in and you are checking how many new listings you have. You can go to your office tab right here in the market monitor, and I can see We have 7 new listings in the last 4 days. We have a total of 188 listings at my office, but my brokerage actually has multiple offices. They actually have 4 offices now. So if I click on firm, it's actually going to show me any of those offices, any of those listings for all of the offices combined. So again, if you have multiple offices within that firm, and they're UPAR members, you can click on firm and you can run those reports to see how many active listings you have, how many sold in the last 4 days, how many went pending. So you kind of get a quick breakdown of what's going on in the office. Now, you can also search a market area. We tell the agents, add in a market area that you're watching so you don't have to keep running the same report all of the time. Agents, when they're clicking into their market monitor, they're also seeing what they have in the way of open houses coming up, how many solds they've had in the last 4 days, how many pending listings, how many active listings, new listings, or listings that are coming up for expiration date. Those are all visible right here, and it allows the agent to make sure instead of running the same reports again and again, they can see what's going on themselves. They can see what's going on in the market that they're watching. And again, you as the admin can also see listings for the office and listings for all of the offices within your firm. So one of the agents in one of my previous classes said, I'm running all these saved searches all the time because I want to see if agents, have added in new listings that we don't know about at the office. Well, remember, instead of always doing that, just log into your market monitor. Here's an even easier way. Okay, so I'm also going to show you some tips in data sharing that are going to help you find listings. But basically, your first tip is set this up. Don't be afraid to set these things up the way you need it. I hate when I'm on the phone with someone, always having to scroll to the bottom every single time. So really, I want all my important stuff right up at the top. Don't be afraid to customize your searches too. If there's something that you're searching for quite often as an admin, you can actually set that up. I'm going to show you a couple cool tricks right now. One, as an admin, when an agent is calling you and they're in a hurry, because that's always what happens, right? Agents, a lot of times, unfortunately, we don't plan so well because all of a sudden we're running out the door to write an offer, or we're, in a hurry to get this listing in because we've got to have it in on Thursday. That's when we told the client it's going to be in there. But if you are trying to find a listing quick, I recommend the power search right up here at the top. So if I am trying to find a new listing on 1941 Orleans, I'm just going to use one I listed about a week ago, I can actually just start typing in the address. Of course, that's going to immediately pop up. Actives and pendings are always at the top. So as you can see, this happens to be a condo, and there's been quite a few units that were available. But I can see the active and pending is always going to be at the top. So if you have an agent saying, hey, I need to look up this property, they're calling you because they're on the road. Really, if they give you that address, the easiest way to find it is to simply plop that in the power search. But let's say that it's a condo unit. And as you can see here, there's a couple different, there's unit 76, there's unit 632. If you don't know which unit, or maybe there's more than one property record you want to look up, you can actually go up to this listings 10 right here. If you hit listings 10, that is literally going to open up all of those records. Now, again, having a little OCD, I kind of like to sort them. I want to see my actives with my actives. I want to see my closed with my closed. I want to be able to quickly pull that information up right from here. Okay. Another thing that you may want to consider doing is customizing your search results. So let me show you what I mean by that. As an admin, a lot of times you are looking for additional information. Maybe you pull up an address and right away you want to see who the listing agent is. Okay, so let's say you pulled up your 10 new listings for your office today, or another office, 10 new listings that came on the market, whatever, you get the idea. I want to add things that are going to help me. So as an agent, one of the things I do like to know, because I've been doing this for 23 years and I've had some great agents that I've worked with, that man, it was just a pleasure. The whole deal was a pleasure. They did everything they were supposed to do. They called you back. They answered their phone, which is always a bonus these days. So there have been agents that I love showing their properties because if I have another deal with them, it's going to be great. But there are also, unfortunately, some agents that, man, if I never get another purchase agreement from them, I'm going to be living a good life. So I kind of like to see those when I'm pulling up the results, though. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to add in the agent name into my search results. Now, this doesn't happen out of the box, by the way. This is not even here in your search results generally. I know, everybody's checking right now. Do I have that? So the answer is no, it doesn't come out of the box, but you can add whatever you want into these search results. So if there is something that you're commonly looking up that you have to scroll down and always try to find, you might want to simply add to your search results. So, Colleen, how do you do that? Well, you're going to go right up to this customize gear. And it will give you the option to click on fields. And basically everything over here on this right-hand side, this is everything that you have in your search results right now. But there are all different classes of things you can add. So for instance, I have in mine, as I mentioned, I think it's called agent name. I think I moved it to the top here. So yes, so I have the listing agent name because I want to know who has it listed. But let's say you don't have that. You want to add it in. You want to be able to see which of the listings in your office, who has it listed in that result view. You can actually go to this group. There's obviously there's categories for listings. There's categories for agents. There's categories for features. But I know this one happens to be for agent. So I am going to find that agent field. And of course, I want to add it in because when I add in that agent name, by the way, there's an agent and phone number. You can add that one in, but they're all different fields that you can add in. When I'm ready to add that agent, and you could add co-listing agents if you want. As you can see, there's a bunch of fields that you can add in here. You can do selling agent names if you're doing buy-side results. But the thing is, you only have to add it in one time. And that's kind of the beauty of this. Once you add it in, it will remember that in your preferences. There's also another thing I would recommend. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to add this agent name in here. I'm going to add this. It always drops it at the bottom here. So really what I want to do is I want to put that or position that in my search results where I want it. So if you are like me, and I did this for the longest time, it was really bad. Now I can see both the agent name and cell number right here in a quick view. But if you're like me, and for a long time I was searching and having to scroll over to find number of car or acreage or things like that, or who had it listed, remember, you can actually move these columns around. It's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. Just grab that column header and it will actually move that in your preferences the way you want it. Okay. If there's something you don't want in there, again, all you have to do is go to customize, go to fields, find what you don't want or what you're always scrolling past or what you think, oh my gosh, I wish this list was a lot shorter, and just pull it out. Check it. Hit remove, and it's going to pull it right out of your way. Just remember to hit save when you're all done, so that all that information is there. But you can see if you've got, if you're looking at active listings, you might not, always want these extra columns. You can get rid of those. If you're looking for your search results and there's something in there that you don't use, you can quickly pull it out. Okay, so that's kind of your first tip. The other thing is, if you are trying to work with a few office listings, and this drives me crazy because I have OCD, and again, I don't want to see stuff I'm not working with, right? Another little tip is if you're working with just particular listings, check them off and go up here to this checked button, because there's nothing worse than having to go through all the garbage you don't want, right? So remember, this checked button does just that. You can hit checked. It's only now going to allow you to see what you're working with, so you don't have all that extra stuff to go through. If an agent's on the phone with you and they just called and they wanted, they rattled off a couple addresses, can you send me information? You can now text it with one click. You can actually go to the share button You can send it as a collab link, or you could text it right to their phone. All you have to do is hit the text button, add in the first name, last name, and the cell phone number, and hit save, and it's going to allow you to text that directly out to that agent. So again, if you have agents, at least that's the way it used to be when I did it, they would call you, they'd be in a pinch. Of course, you want to encourage them to have home snap on their phone so they can do all of this on their own. But let's face it, they're still going to call you. So you want to be able to quickly text those listings over to their phone when they do so. All right. So hopefully you're picking up a couple little tips. I also want to show you a field that Brian, our I call him the wizard. He kind of is the person who does all the hard work, the integration behind the scenes. There was a field that I asked him for, I'm not kidding, no less than 3 years, and he really just could not understand why I wanted this field. And now I think it's one of the most popular fields we have in the MLS. And it is the full addresses search. Okay. I tell agents about this all the time. It's something we built because I got tired of buyers calling me and giving me 10 addresses at a time, and they were finding them faster than I was. And I said, okay, this is a problem. I'm supposed to be the trusted agent. How come I got to write each address down and search for each one? That doesn't even make any sense. So we created a field, and I've put it in my quick search and my traditional search, but we created a field that you'll see right here called full addresses. Full addresses works like this. If an agent is firing off, or you got a call and they're looking at information for about 10 different listings and you don't know who to ship that call to, here's a quick tip. If you go to the full addresses field and you start typing in, let's say 123 Main Street, maybe you're looking for 456 West Street. Maybe you're looking for, let's see, 245, and I'm just making these up. I don't even know if these are real streets. 123 Cherry Street, whatever it happens to be. You can actually type up to 30 addresses in one field. So if you've got, at least how it works at my office is if somebody calls in on a listing, a lot of times those are given to the listing agent. But a lot of times they're giving you 3 or 4 addresses at a time. You might want to be able to pull all of those addresses up, or better yet, if you got a lead that came in through your company website and it's got 10 different addresses that they listed out, did you know you can actually copy and paste those addresses into one field to 30 at a time, hit enter, and pull up all of the results? Now you're probably like, lady with the fuzzy hair, you got 76 listings, only 4 addresses. Well, yeah, actually, if I were going to do this in real life, I would want to make sure I've got my status in there. It's fully active or pending. So if they're calling on these properties, they're most likely active or pending, a lot pending these days. So you want to put those statuses in too. But the idea here is that you can add up to 30 at one time, but it does something else really cool. Let's say that Amanda she started adding in these addresses and she noticed it was Main Street, Cherry Boulevard, East Avenue. All you have to put in is the route street name. It will always find the streets, the ways, the boulevards, the places, the courts, the drives. It will find all of those for you. Because what you can't see here is behind the word, there is actually a built-in wildcard to make sure that you don't miss anything. Now, most of the time I tell everybody don't use a wildcard in Paragon, but this is one field that I do recommend using a wildcard in. Let me give you an example. So Amanda just got a call, and they are looking for information on 1941 West or East Orleans, okay? But she's not sure if it's East Orleans or West Orleans. She's just sitting on the corner, and, let's say it's East and West. One way is East, one way is West on the road. And you're not sure which is it on. Is it on East or West? That's when you can use the asterisk. That little asterisk is kind of like a wild card, and it will make sure that whether it's East Orleans or West Orleans, it's still going to appear in your search results. So again, this is one of the very few places I would use the wild card or the asterisk. Never use it in the power search. It doesn't work. And most times you really don't want to use that. But in the full addresses field, if you're not sure of maybe a street directional or how something's spelled, this is a really good workaround. Use that asterisk, and it will allow you to find that. After you've typed that in, just hit enter. And of course, it's going to display those records for you. If you are copying and pasting, as I mentioned, you can actually copy and paste. What I generally will do when I'm copying and pasting, because of course the agents are going to come to you and they're going to say, this fuzzy haired lady, she told me I could copy and paste in here. And how do I do that? What I generally do is if I get an email from a buyer with 10, 15 addresses in it, I will hit forward on the email because that opens up the text. That way, if there's no commas separating the addresses, I can put commas in there and then copy them and then paste them into that field. All it's looking for is a comma to separate it. Again, if you're typing it out, you could use a comma or just hit enter. I just think enter is easier. And you can find up to 30 at one time. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. If you have a question on this, now is a great time to throw that in the questions box. Hope I'm giving you a couple quick tips that maybe will make it easier when you're trying to find a specific listing. Because here's what I know, and I say this as an agent. I love agents. I've been an agent for a long time. I was married to a broker for a long time. I get it, but sometimes we don't even have the word spelled right. We think in our mind we do, but we come to you because we can't find a listing and we clearly have it spelled wrong. So sometimes that asterisk will come in handy in that full addresses when you're trying to find something and it's just not making sense, or the agent maybe has it spelled wrong. It happens, and that way you can still find that listing. So kind of a quick tip there. All right, so kind of a quick recap. Power search is great for finding one address. You can also type, don't do this, but you can actually type up to 30 MLS numbers in the power search. Really what you're going to use it for is if you're trying to find a MLS number, that's great. But did you know you can also find an agent's listings here? I'll show you a couple cool things. Something we just added yesterday, and so I want to show you that too. If I type in an agent name, I can actually see listings the agent has listed or closed. Again, it will only show you usually the last 10 records. You could click on 10, you could pull those up. We'll also show you the agent contact record, what the cell phone number is, where the agent works. So it will actually show you that as well. Now, the agent may be in there multiple times, as you can see with me. And the reason, as you can see, I'm in here 8 times, is I belong to a lot of different boards, especially in Paragon. You will probably not have that, maybe once or twice. And it's just because I belong to a lot. But if you're looking up a particular agent, you may see them in once, maybe usually twice if they belong to another board at one time. If you want to see all the member records, again, just click on the member 8 and it will show you all the member records. And usually you can tell what that member belongs to by how it's listed. As you can see, it belonged to East Central. We vendor them, do a lot of training for them, so it's important to have an account with them. But you get the general idea. When you're ready to find that particular record, this one happens to be my agent record. I'm going to simply click on it. It's going to show me all of that information for that agent. Okay, so think of that power search at the top as great ways to find one agent, one MLS number, or one address very quickly. Again, agents are, a lot of times will use this quick search. I like the quick search specifically for the full addresses field because most of the time as an agent, we are, doing more traditional searches with all the bells and whistles, the features, things like searching on the Great Lake or Interior Lake, right? A lot more detail than you're going to find just in my quick search because you can only have so many fields in the quick search. If you do not have full addresses, which I guarantee you quite a few probably will not, let me show you how to add full addresses right here. If you go up to this gear, and it's pretty much the same as on every screen in Paragon, it's the gears here that allow you to simply edit what you want in that particular window. So if I go to the gear here in Quick Search, and let's say you do not have full addresses, I'm just going to pull it out so I can show you how to add it. Let's say you've got all these in here, but you don't have full addresses. Go over to your find box, simply type in the word full. You'll see full addresses pops up. Check it off, hit add, and now drag and drop it wherever you want. Now, I don't know about you. I did not know you could drag and drop these for a long time. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, wow, that's big because I don't always want to scroll to the bottom every time I'm doing a search. So you can actually drag and drop it and then simply apply it to your quick search. And now you can see full addresses is right here at the top. All right, so hopefully that helps. When agents are looking for tools, we try to tell them that resources is their agent toolbox. This is where agents are going to find things like their property inventory links, which nobody knows what that is. So I'm going to tell you in just a second. You're going to find things like Cloud CMA. You're going to find HomeSnap. You're going to find things like your RPR link. It's where you're going to find other links that the agents are going to use. It's also where you can find statistical reporting. And this is something most admins don't know is here. And I promise once you use it a couple times, you'll go, oh my gosh, that was really a good find. And that's where you can actually go in and run statistics on agents in your firm, see where you rank, and all kind of cool things. So we're going to go over that too. Let's start off for just a moment with the property inventories link. Okay, that basically is a link to an agent's single property website. So again, I'm just going to use mine. I wish I had a little nicer property to show. Usually my friend Tom Lipinski lets me use his $3 million waterfront house. And I got to say, it looks a whole lot nicer than my little Detroit condo. But for now, we're going to use that. Pull that up real quick. I want to show you what the single property website is, because as admins, a lot of times you are promoting listings on company pages. Specifically, if you have an internal page, like an internal Facebook page, where you're promoting things that are coming up or new listings that you have as far as inventory. So how to promote that? And this is kind of big because I'm really trying to help agents stop working so hard to give away their leads. I will never understand this. I see agents all the time that are sharing their listings like from Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin. We have to help these agents understand that when you share from Zillow, you realize they are a brokerage now. They said for a long time they were never going to be a brokerage. They are a brokerage now. So you technically are sharing, these agents are sharing from their competitor, which I will never understand, or Redfin, who is a brokerage. They're sharing it, and then they're sharing all their great photos. They're sharing all their great remarks, or that you're writing maybe for them. And they're basically giving them to their competitor. It's like, it's like working at Ford and telling everyone to go buy a General Motors. I don't understand that. It just doesn't compute in must be my brain. But the idea is, let's show them a better way. Let's show them a better way to share their listings with high resolution photos that look really great, but that always gives the lead back to them. I'm trying to get more agents in the lead generation class where we actually show them how to share, but put a squeeze page insert where it pulls the lead back to them. So they actually have real life contacts and names and phone numbers and email addresses of real life people, along with the houses that they might want to sell. So, I mean, it has some cool things. You got to know how to do it, but get those agents to attend the lead generation class where we show them. And of course, even though you're an admin, you're welcome to take those classes too. And we encourage that so that when an agent, because let's face it, the agent's coming to you. That's how it works. When they come to you, you'll know how to use those tools as well. All right. So enough about that. Let's talk about the single property website and where to find it. So if you are going to share brokerage listings or agent listings, a great way to do that is right on the front of the listing ticket. So here's what it looks like. It's a blue, kind of looks like a blue check mark, or a house with a check mark on it. And this is actually a single property website. Again, sorry, it's not a little nicer listing. I'll try to have a nicer listing for next time. And basically what this allows you to do, this happens to be the rooftop deck of this building in Detroit. I don't do a whole lot of Detroit listings. I'm more in the rural areas, but it happens to be a friend, and I couldn't say no because sometimes I'm not good at that. So long story short, what it does is it actually grabs the captions from Paragon that you've placed in there. It's grabbing high resolution photos. And I don't know if you're aware, but UPAR now has the highest resolution photos in the entire state, higher than Rapatoni, higher than Remind, higher than Matrix. We actually have increased our photos. When they gave me the numbers, I'm going to be totally honest, I'm like, okay, what does that mean to me as an agent? But actually, when I looked, I said, show me a picture of what that actually would be like where we are now what other MLSs have, and then where we're going. And I was blown away at the difference. I mean, I was really actually shocked. It's so much crisper and clearer. You can see a whole lot more detail than you previously could. So as you can see, these high resolution photos, even if they're on a phone, this is how they're going to be displayed. So it certainly makes a very good presentation, but they also, the consumer, whether they're looking at their phone or they're looking on their computer, they're looking for that Zillow type report, right? When was it built? What's the parking? How many bathrooms, how many bedrooms? So we know it's got to be easy. Of course, there is a place they can scan this and share it with others. They can ask questions of the agent, but here's the important thing. At the bottom, what's happening is you're only seeing the other agents' listings and 90 days worth of their solds, and of course, any pending that they have. So I am not seeing a bunch of other companies or other agents or advertising for other people. They're only seeing my other things. And if they're not interested in this particular listing, they might be interested in another listing that I have, and they can see that at the bottom. So how do you share it out? Well, when you're ready to share, and you might not be able to see it if you've got your GoToWebinar open, I apologize. But if you're ready to share this on your company pages, all you're going to do is go over here to the right. There are some share buttons. I apologize for the background noise. Right now is when the garbage men are coming to collect the garbage. So I apologize. It's a little loud. So if I go over here, I can tweet it out. I can put it on Pinterest. I can email it out. I can share it onto LinkedIn. Most people are pretty familiar with Facebook, so we'll share it there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share it to Facebook. Again, I wish it was the $3 million listing. It looks a whole lot nicer. And if you are the admin for a page, you can share it to a group. So if you have your internal, like I said, if you're doing your office listings and you're sharing them out on an internal Facebook page or sharing them, maybe an upcoming open house, you can share that to an event. You can share it to your news feed or story. So, and again, you can actually share this on even a page that you manage, like a business page. So hopefully, and a nice call to action is always helpful too. This allows you to share it in a way that it's always keeping that agent's information up here at the top. One other thing, and I don't have this is a relatively new listing, and quite honestly, I don't really know if I'm going to do a virtual tour on this property. But if the agent does a tour, there are two different types of tours. So let me explain, because there's a lot of confusion about this. If you are working with a client as an agent and you are working with that person, you certainly don't want them seeing another agent talking about, hi, I work for ABC Realty, use me, here's my cell phone, right? I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. Why would we put that in the MLS? We would obviously, and I don't know what the UPAR rules or fines are, but I know here at my MLS, we would fine you for putting information, having a company sign in your photos. That's a fine that we institute. And I'm pretty sure probably UPAR has rules similar to that, where you can't have your agent information in public remarks. And the reason is those remarks go out from the MLS to other agents' clients. And it wouldn't be fair if every single one had your name on it, right? It wouldn't be right. However, there is a place in the MLS for branded and unbranded tours. There's actually 4 tours that you can add. A branded tour is where the agent can say, my name is Sally Sue. Let me take you on a tour of this property. I'd love to help you. I work with first-time home buyers. That is a branded tour, and that can go in the MLS as long as it's put on the branded tour lines. The unbranded tour is what has to go in the MLS if they're adding a tour, so that it then sends that out to other agents' clients. So they can see the virtual tour, but it can't have the agent information on it if it's being sent to another agent's clients, right? That kind of makes sense, hopefully. But what the single property website allows you to do when you're sharing your company listings, if the agent has a branded tour in there, it always picks up that first. So it says, okay, this is a branded tour. It has a branded tour. I'm going to pull that first. So it always allows, when you're sharing these things out, if they have tours attached, always grabs the branded tour first. If there is no branded tour, it will grab secondly the unbranded tour, but it's going to look for that first. So when the agent's sharing it or you're sharing it, you're giving that agent an time to actually promote themselves out onto social media. So it's actually a win-win. We're going to go into listings next. So hopefully that helps. If anybody has a new listing that they want to promote on this call, again, it'd be a whole lot nicer than mine, and it would be way more relevant. So if you have a new listing address and you want to throw it in questions, I'll use it for some of the upcoming demonstrations that we're going to do. Again, if you've got a new listing in your office that you want to promote, I know they're not yours as an admin, but if you've got a new listing that somebody just turned in or somebody threw a file on your desk while we're on this call, feel free to put that in the questions box, and I'll use that, and at least it'll give your company a little more exposure to that listing. Okay. All right. Next. So one of the things I did not know was in Paragon as an admin. And when I started figuring out these little tips and tricks, I found, wow, this was a good thing. One of the things, if you are constantly running a hot sheet or your company's inventory, or you're constantly searching, even as an agent, when I go in, one of the things that kind of bugs me, and again, I'm going to say the good, bad, and the ugly, is when I go to search, if I want to go to a single family search, I got to do a series of clicks to get there. I don't really like, it's like that for every MLS system, unfortunately. I've used 3 or 4 different ones. And so I got to go to search, then I got to tell them what I'm searching for. If I don't want to do extra clicks, did you know that even as an agent, you can set up a speed bar at the bottom? Okay. So let me kind of tell you what I mean. If I, as an agent, want to go right into Cloud CMA, or you want to run a hot sheet for your company, or you want to run new listings for your company, instead of having to do all of those extra searches, did you know you can actually set up a speed bar at the bottom here? So instead of, like I was just showing you, if I was going to do a residential search, I got to go here, then I got to find the class, then I got to click, and I just wanted to go there right from here. Did you know you can actually customize this search bar right here at the bottom? I can click on residential and go right into that without having to do all those extra clicks. Kind of cool, right? These speed bars at the bottom can be set up. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so you can see it. Same concept. If you don't want to have to do extra clicks, let's say you have a report that you run for your office once a week. Okay, so let's say, you go in, you do a search, you find new listings, or you go in and run a listing report, or you want to go right to your maintain listings report. Did you know all you have to do that is go down to this quick action link, this little gear at the bottom. I tried to shrink my screen. Hopefully you can see that okay. There's a little gear right over here in the right-hand corner. Same concept. So what it does is it says, okay, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to run inventory for your company with 1 click without having to do 3 clicks to get there? No problem. I'm going to say that we are going to add inventory. Add that in. We're going to go ahead and save that to our speed bar here at the bottom. Next time I want to run an inventory report, I don't have to do all those clicks. It's going to take me right there. Next time I want to run a single family home search, no problem. No extra clicks. I want to run stats of what's going on. I don't think you guys have market stats, so we'll skip that. I'm going to go directly to my zip form login page. You can put different speed bars right here at the bottom, making it much simpler. I want to go into Cloud CMA. Click on it. I don't have to do 3 clicks. Resources, Cloud, Open Cloud. It's right here. So the idea is those quick speed bars, those quick little tips make it much easier. If you have saved searches that you do for the office, you can go right into your saved searches from right down here, just making it much more easy to use. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let me see. I got a little off topic. Let me make sure I'm hitting all my points here. Okay, let's talk about listings for a moment. Then we're going to talk about map searching and a little bit about statistical searching for the office. Because most agents are putting in listings themselves, and I know that. But every once in a while, let's face it, the admin is going in and adding in listings as well. Or maybe you have a policy to check the listings before they go live. A lot of brokers in this area, they don't want their agents hitting save because they get all these fines from my MLS, not yours. But they get a lot of fines from agents who, have photos with their name and the sign, or they've got their contact information in the public remarks. And, so now they're getting a $100 fine here and a $500 fine here. So they have a policy that you can put all the information in, but the admin is the one who hits save. So whatever your brokerage policy is, and every MLS it's different, every brokerage it's different. But if you are the admin, a lot of times that is falling to you, those checks and balances, right? Or if you find out they've put in something incorrectly, you've now got to find that listing and go in and make those corrections. So when you're looking for listings, obviously you're going to go to the listings tab. Excuse me. If it's a partial listing, this is kind of cool. If it is a partial listing, that is something that the agent, and a lot of agents don't know this, by the way, the agent can actually fill out a data sheet in, I know you guys use zip form, so it is available in zip form. We have the My RealTors residential sheet where they can fill out the data sheet and pull it in from the tax records. And from there, they can actually push it to Paragon in a partial listing, which is very cool. So once they've done that step, so let's say they filled out their data sheet, they click the button, it sends it to a partial, it tells them your partial has got a partial number. That partial can be viewed by you, the admin. Okay, so when you go in, I'm going to look at my office here. When you go in, you have the option of seeing your firm's partial listings. If you wanted to search for a particular agent, you could type in the agent name for your firm and it will show you their partials. I'm going to just do my office partials so you can kind of get the idea. But as an admin, I can go in and I can say, okay, Sally Sue put in a new listing. I want to check it over, make sure that there's no fines or anything. So I'm going to open it up by simply just clicking on the number. Maybe the agent has also sent you the photos to upload. You, the admin, can click on add or edit photos, and you can upload multiple photos at a time. So all you have to do is go down to the bottom, click add files. All you're going to do is tell it on your computer where those image files are. So let's see, I just took a new listing. I'm not going to technically do this because this agent would be like, why is this Detroit condo in my beautiful $550,000 Rochester home? But let me find some photos just to show you really quickly. There we go. Can never find the good ones fast. Let's say I wanted to add a couple of photos. You can actually check more than one. Say I want to put 10 in. You can even move them around. So I'm going to hold down my control key. I'm going to say I want to add in these 3. And then all you have to do is hit start upload. It's going to pull them in. And then you can actually drag and drop these tiles into the order that you want them to be in. I don't want to do that because, again, I don't want an angry call from someone in my office saying, were you testing with my listing again? So you can actually drag these images around. But the important thing is when you're adding in these images, you do want to make sure you're adding captions and descriptions. So if the agent has asked you to add these in, please, if it's a kitchen basement, label it that way. And I know you don't always know as the admin, but it certainly is helpful to those when we're showing it. If there's 3 kitchens in the house, you want to know which is the basement kitchen, which is the pantler or the butler's pantry kitchen, and then which is the main floor kitchen. You can also add things like open houses or broker tours. I don't know if you guys do broker tours up there. We do a lot in this area. Those are things that we can add here. But basically, this partial can be edited, and then all you have to do is hit save as the admin. This does give you the ability to go in and check and make sure that nothing is incorrect before it goes live. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Again, if I go back to listings, if it is already a listing, it's not a partial, you can actually go into the listing area. I'm going to use office listings here. These are listings that are already live for my office. And of course, I'm probably going to be on the last page of mine here, but I was going to actually use mine just in case I screw it up. Then I'll have nobody to blame except myself, and the admin won't be calling me upset. So, okay. So as the admin, you're going in, you can see, okay, there's 42 pictures here, but let's say that there's something you want to change on the listing. You realize, oh, geez, that Colleen again, she put her cell phone number in where it wasn't supposed to be. Over here to the right next to the listing is select an action. This is all the admin functionality. If you're going to fix something on the listing, pretty easy. I can go to maintain the listing. Remember, it's already a live listing. You also can, again, add or edit those photos. So if I click on add or edit photos, we can move these photos in. Remember how I said it's really important, add those labels and descriptions. So I added breathtaking views. You can actually add 255 characters per photo. So if you have, we allow you to have 99 photos in there. I'm not saying you have to go crazy, but it is really nice when we can kind of see what we're looking at, especially if there's multiple of the same rooms, like kitchens or laundry rooms, things like that. Adding and editing those documents. Of course, you want to have your seller's disclosure and your lead-based paint in here. If you're adding them in for the agent, all you have to do is hit add new, browse in the file, and give it a description. So pretty self-explanatory. You can add open houses, broker tours in here as well. If there's a question, if you are doing something on behalf of the agent, it's very important to know, even though you may be changing the price on a particular listing, or you may be editing something for that particular listing, it's always auditing that. There is an audit report that is on every single listing ticket. And I love this as an agent because I will tell you, I unfortunately had a situation where we went to closing and the agent apparently did not ask their seller if they were going to leave the appliances. So the appliances were all over the listing ticket, right? Except when we went to close, guess what? They were not on the listing ticket anymore. Now, I had written them in, thankfully, on the purchase agreement, but I knew they were on the listing ticket as well. So thankfully, I did my extra due diligence and I had written them on the purchase agreement that we were asking, but the agent said, wait, we never were offering those. And I said, I'm telling you, it was on the listing ticket. It's on the PA. They signed the PA, but it was also on the listing ticket. I remember it. So sure enough, the agent said, no, here's the listing ticket. They're not here. Well, guess what had happened the week before? The agent went in and removed it. But guess what? You, the admins, can see that under the audit of the listing. It will tell you who changed what and when it was changed. And sometimes that comes in really, really handy. So keep in mind you have that listing audit report that will allow you to go in and see. So if an admin changed it, it does show the admin who changed it and the time and the date stamp is on it as well. I had an agent the other day who was in a dispute, said, I listed this on such and such, and all we have to do is go back to the audit. You can see exactly when it was listed. So it does kind of sometimes comes in handy. You can also share listings out onto Facebook right from here. Again, I like the single property website better for that because I think it's nicer, higher resolution photos, but totally your choice. You can share a listing via text. You can put it on Twitter. And you can even go into, obviously, set up the showing time, showing instructions from here too. Okay. So if you have any questions on editing a listing, now would be a great time to throw those in while we're on those particular screens. But under the maintain listing, I'm gonna go back. When you're looking at your office listings, when you do select an action, there's a couple things I did not know, so I want to pass along that information to you. We were talking about copying and cloning. If an agent had a listing, and let's say that they took it off the market for, 2 months, they're fixing it up, they're going to put it back on. Instead of having to do all of that work again, you can actually clone the listing. But you do want to make sure if you're cloning that listing, that it's the same agent, because especially the photos right now, photo copyright lawsuits are crazy. I mean, I did not know this, so I'm going to share this with you. The person who takes the photo, so whether it's a photographer whether it is a broker, whether it's an agent, whoever clicks the shutter of that camera actually owns the copyright to that photo. There are so many copyright lawsuits right now that we have placed in our MLS documents and within our library some copyright photo forms. And what it does is it gives you, the agent, permission to use, especially if you have hired a photographer. If that photographer ever came back to you and said, I didn't give you permission to put those on Zillow, or I did not give you permission to share those photos in the MLS, and they sue you, if they win, the damages are triplicate. I did not know that either. So if you have 99 photos in the MLS and you are found guilty, it's triple damages on each one of them, not considered as a whole. So it is very, very, very important right now that we cross our I's and cross our T's and dot our I's when it comes to making sure that we have the rights to the photos. We're really big on this here. We actually have a form that you can use that gives shared copyrights to the photographer and the broker. Our concern is that the brokers are never in trouble for, posts, because brokers, let's face it, they are the ones responsible for the listings. And so we want to make sure that those brokers using those copyright forms are actually protected, and the agent has at least 50% of the rights to be able to put those out into syndication and put them out on the MLS and other places. I know it says it in most purchase agreements, but these days it's like I said, lawsuits left and right over who actually owns, especially when it comes to things like drone footage or video of the home. If you're hiring a videographer, or if you're hiring like Circle Pics, or you're hiring companies to take your photos, they take the photos, they own the rights. So you've got to get those permissions in place, ensuring that the broker has some rights to those photos, 50%. Okay, great question, Erica. Good. I was kind of worried because nobody was asking questions. You may have it in a different place. It does depend on your security level that you're at, Erica. So it's a great question. Under the audit, if you're not seeing it over to the left, and a lot of times it comes with that broker supervisor role. A lot of admins do have it, and I'm going to have to check on what the security level is for that. You may also have it under the reports. So I will show you. Thank you for letting me know. So Erica said that when she went over to the listing, she did not see the audit. And I see that. I have a higher level of security. Most admins can see that, but you may have it under reports. So we'll go there. I'll show you where that is in just a minute, Erica. And if you'll look there and let me know, that would be great. Okay. All right, so hopefully you kind of get the idea of editing listings. If an agent makes a mistake and you've got to make a quick correction, how to get there. Next to each listing, you of course have all of these. One of those other things that we need to make sure we're doing is checking the geocode, especially where you guys are, because I've seen listings in the middle of Lake Superior. I kid you not, an agent puts them in. They're like, okay, they don't check the geocoding, and up there especially, it's really, really important because you guys are surrounded by water, and if that pin is placed in the wrong place, guess what? Lake Superior, here we come, right? Doesn't look like a very good house if it's in the middle of the lake. So how do you check that geocoding? So let's look at that. When you're going through your listing information, when you go down to location and property information, that will be your address, your main information, but you'll also see bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. The validate map. It's very, very important when and I would have not believed this, but I listed a house myself and it was in the middle of the lake and it was my own fault. And why this is so important right now for admins to check, is when people search on different sites, like even HomeSnap, for instance, or Zillow or Realtor.com. You know how they can grab their finger on their tablet and they can search that way? If your PIN is in the wrong place, guess what? They're doing these searches and they are not getting those properties. So it's really important that we are checking the geolocation of where these listings actually are. To do that, it's really just checking the map. Does it look like it's on the right spot in the map? Because if it's not, if it's off just a little bit, it can be in the middle of the water and they're not searching the water when they're trying to find your house, 4 miles off the water, right? So let's take a look at that geolocating. You're going to click Validate Map. And that pin is going to show you where it is. If there's a question, now here's a little tip. If there's a question you're not really sure, is that the right place? What I recommend is there's a little yellow Google man right over here, okay? And that little yellow Google man will tell you where you're going to set in front of. So I'm going to look right here to the right, and I can see, is that pin, in fact, in the right place? You can walk down the road. You can see the property to the left or to the right, but you do want to make sure that when you click on where that pin is, that it is in front of the listing. It's a little harder here because it's a condo building, but especially on a home, you'll see that pin will appear directly in front of the home. Matter of fact, let me show you another listing. I'll show you a little better example, because it's really, really crucial, especially where you are, that people can find that property really easily. I'm going to go into maintain this listing just to kind of give you a little bit better example here. I know it's a closed record, but hopefully it will still let me maintain it. We'll see. No, it's closed, so let me find, let's go to our power search and pick a little bit better one. It's hard on a condo building because it doesn't really do the flagging, which is kind of what I wanted to show you. So we'll look at, let's do this one. This is probably a good one to show. So if I am maintaining this listing, and I'm going to open that listing up. What I want to do is I want to make sure that that pin is set in the right location, especially again where you guys are. So I'm going to go to that property information, validate the map. If you think that's the right spot, but let's face it, it's really hard to see from here, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to zoom in, grab that little yellow Google man, especially if the houses are very close to one another. And you see how it places the pin in front of the house? So if it's in the middle of the lake over here, you got to drag that pin onto the house. By dragging that pin, and you can grab it and drag it, by the way, by dragging that pin onto the home, that allows me to make sure that it's properly geocoded. So I like that little Google man just to make sure. It's very hard to tell when, especially when you're looking at it from way up above. But you do want to make sure, especially if the houses are very close to each other, that you've got it pinned on the right place and that you don't end up, I kid you not, I literally had a listing. I let it do its own thing, right? I didn't check it. And it put it in the middle of a lake where no one, of course, was going to be searching for it. And then I'm wondering why I don't get any showings. So it's very important to make sure that you validate that map. Okay. I know most agents are putting in their listings, but there is a trick. If you are putting a listing in for an agent, and you're going to listings, add a listing, you do kind of want to pull in some of that information so you're not filling it out from scratch. So there's two ways to do this, of course. You can have them fill out the form in zip form, click the button, which creates the partial, which is a great way to do it. But let's say they just handed you a handwritten data sheet, and you now have to take that data sheet and you now have to input all that information. It's kind of a lot. So I would recommend starting with the tax autofill. The tax autofill works in 83 counties. So yes, it works up by you too. You can see Marquette counties here. All you're really doing is clicking on the county. But there's a trick here. Every time I put in more information than I should, it can't find the property. So here's a little trick. What you really want to do is just put in the route street name, which means the house number and the root street name. This happens to be Wessel Drive, but tax records are very, very exact. So what you really want to do is you really want to put in the number, and you want to leave off the drives, the ways, the places, put in the root street name, hit search, and then from here, it's going to pull up that property. I'm going to say, yep, that's the one. That's the address. That's who owns it. Yep, that's the listing. I'm going to put in the system. I'm going to check it off, hit autofill. It's going to show me everything it's about to autofill. If there is something I'm like, I thought it was built later than that. I might not want to autofill that. Let me check on that. You can deselect it or select it. Hit save, and it's going to start pulling all of that information into the listing for you. So now when I go to property information, it's filled out: the county, the street address, the zip code, the subdivision, the lengthy legal, the year it was built, the frontage, the acreage. All of that's coming over from the actual record, the county record. Remember how I said one of the other things that you're going to want to do too is make sure that you add a tour, a branded or unbranded tour. Remember, those are under compensation and tours. And all you have to do is go down to the bottom. There is branded virtual tour, branded video. They're really the same thing. They're just a place you're putting a link in. Just be sure if the agent contact information is included, that the agent has it in the branded tour. If it is, generic, then it goes in the virtual or video so that other people can see it, right? Okay, I covered that and that. Just want to go over my checklist here. All right, so another thing that agents and admins both are doing things like running saved reports. You may run an office inventory every morning. Instead of having to do that every day, you can actually do a saved search. So let's say that you're looking for new listings, and you could do it with your market monitor too, but you could actually customize a report, and you could save it, and you could save that search so that you don't have to keep running it every day. So if you want to run an inventory of what's in your county every single day, don't be afraid to put in inventory, what you're looking for, name that search, and then hit save. That way, when you want to pull it up, instead of having to go back and enter that same information again and again, all you're going to do is go to search, saved property search, pull up the one you're looking for, like brokerage inventory, whenever it happens to be, click on it, and you don't have to keep entering the same. You see how everything popped in there when I did that? You don't have to enter the same thing over and over again. A couple other things I wanted to point out, just making it a little bit easier. It does keep your last 15 searches. So if you're like I was as an admin, you're answering the phone, you're helping an agent, you're getting ready for a closing that's coming into the building, you're doing it all, and you go back and you're logged out. Well, remember, you've got this last search. You can actually find right where you left off. If there's a particular thing that is not in your search, like I'm going to be honest, a lot of times I will search on the remarks field. Sometimes I'll be looking for something very specific, and I remember, I think he had that in remarks, and I'm trying to find that search again. You can search on anything in Paragon. I mean, anything. You can search on a keyword in remarks if you want to, but you have to add it to your search. So again, just like I showed you in the beginning, there is fields. You can add any field in. You can also drag and drop where you want that field to be located. And all you have to do is hit apply, and it's going to apply that to your search. Okay, a couple quick things here I wanted to cover that we show agents how to do, but it occurred to me this morning when I was getting ready for this class that we have never really showed the admins, and it's kind of important with the amount of data that you have now. Let me go back to kind of explain. So when you were just UPAR, you could only see the UPAR listings and information, right? But now you've got this whole huge amount of data fields that you can search on, and sometimes it makes it a little more complicated. So the agents are coming to you and they're saying, okay, let me give you a good case in point. So I'm just going to move my county up to the area to kind of show you what I mean here. This will be a kind of a good example. And you can drag and drop those fields in whatever order. So again, as an admin, don't scroll all the way to the bottom all the time. It'll make you crazy. But here's kind of what I mean. When you are searching for houses in the MLS, or you're assisting an agent in searching, if you type in Clinton Township, there are actually 5 Clinton Townships in the state of Michigan, which I have to be honest, that's insane to me. I thought in Michigan we'd have 1 Clinton Township. There's actually 5. So if you're helping an agent, how do you know which of those Clinton Townships are the one in Macomb County? Kind of confusing, right? So you could do 2 things. One, the first 2 numbers identify the federal county identifier number, which is basically what county it resides in. So, for instance, if you were looking for the Clinton Township in Macomb County, you could see it starts with 50. Simple. Let's do Marquette. I wish I knew your marketplace a little bit better. I'm sorry, I don't. But Marquette's kind of the same thing. 52 is what Marquette would start with, okay? So in my example, Macomb is 50. So if I'm looking for the Clinton Township in Macomb, I know it starts with 50, and this would be the one I want in Macomb County. Now, an easier way, and I promise I'm coming to a point with this, an easier way is, of course, you could just type in the county. Now, when I go to Clinton Township, I only see the one in that county. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. But here's where it gets a little more complicated. So let's say that you're helping an agent, and an agent wants to set up a search for their buyer, and they're looking in 3 counties. Okay, but there are just 4 or 5 cities they don't want in those counties. Here's a cool trick. If you go over to the magnifying glass to the right. And I never knew this was here, so I'm just going to kind of help you, because I thought many times I would have liked to have known this as an agent. It would have saved me a lot of time. Because if an agent, let's say, is looking in multiple counties, just in Macomb and Oakland by me, there's over 70 cities in those counties. But there's 4 or 5 he doesn't want, right? So I would have to get out a list of the counties, and I'd have to start typing them in like one by one. And of course, now I have a lot more Shelbys than just one, right? And I got to type them all. It would take forever. So here's a little tip. Go over to the magnifying glass, click on that magnifying glass, and put in the county identifier. But before you do that, just change this from contains to begins with, okay? So I want to see all the cities in Macomb County. I know it starts with 50. I hit enter. Now I can see there are 26 cities. Here's where it gets good. I promise I'm coming to something with this. There are 26 cities in Macomb County. He wants them all except for Fraser and East Point. He's not too fond of those 2 cities. Instead of having to type in 24 cities, do you see how with 2 clicks I just did the same thing? And I didn't have to get out, the whole map book to figure it out. So if you're trying to run an inventory report for your brokerage and you're looking for easier ways, of course you could save this as a search. Let's say that you were doing, we'll use Marquette this time. Let's say your broker wants to know all the active listings in Marquette County this morning. You could go to county, type in Marquette. I can see that's going to be 52, right? Okay, so I'm going to go to my magnifying glass next to area, change it from contains to begins with. I'm going to run this report for my broker. I want to see everything, 22 cities. I'm going to run this, but my broker doesn't really care about what's going on, and I don't know these cities. I'm just picking them, so please don't take it personal. I'm going to say he doesn't want those 2 cities. I can hit save, and I've plugged all of those in. It certainly makes it much, much easier. Of course, I'd want to put active or pending or whatever he's looking for. Then if you're doing that search over and over again, make sure that you just save it. Do a save search, name it what you want, and then you can go right to your saved searches without having to do all those additional steps. All right, so hopefully you've picked up a couple helpful things. Keep in mind, I want to jump back to Erica's question. There are all different types of reports. And Eric, I believe, and again, it depends on your security level. I might have to check with Brian on why you're not seeing it. But when you are looking at a listing, and she was looking for the listing audit, just so you know, under your reports, and Erica, maybe you can let me know if you see this, you're going to see a lot of different reports. So if you just open up your spreadsheet and you go to the report section over here, I want to find out if you do in fact have this or not. At the bottom of your reports, you'll see an audit. If you don't see that audit, that may mean that you don't have the security level. I'll have to check with Brian how the security level is set for UPAR admins. If that's something that Cindy and her team have to do, or if you can do it. Where we are, I believe that our admins can do it, but I'm going to have to double check. But maybe, Erica, you could let me know if you go to your reports under the CMA report and the specialty views and under all of those, let me know if you have a listing audit report. That will certainly help me and let me know if that's something that all admins for UPAR can see as well. Okay, in the reports, there are all different types of reports. Agents can drag reports into their favorites. UPAR is set to have, and by the way, I know it doesn't look like I'm dragging. I think that's really weird. I hate that, but you can actually drag and drop them. It doesn't look like anything's happening until you let go. But as you can see, I've dragged the UPAR all fields detail report, which should be what I believe what your members are using. We tried to mimic what you had before and set it up that way. And you'll see all those colorful icons that we talked about right over here, just a different style of reporting. Okay. And Erica, if you let me know if you can see that, that would be helpful too. Okay, save searches I touched on. Last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up, and I am recording this, so if there's something you missed or you had a question on where something was, don't worry, because as an agent, I never can remember, like, you know, we don't do the same thing every day, right? You might go 3 months without running an inventory report. So it's kind of nice when you can go back to this video and you can say, oh yeah, I took that class and that lady with the fuzzy hair, she showed me how to do that. And you can kind of fast forward to that particular thing that you're working on. So I'm going to show you where to find those. But when we're talking about running inventory, there's 2 ways to do that. So if an agent wants to know how much they've sold, and they call you and they go, oh, you know, hey, can you tell me how much I've sold this year? And let's face it, they like to know how much they sold. So if you go to search, you can tell that agent that actually go to search, go to inventory, and you can type in that it will automatically default to their own. Of course, you as the admin will have listings for your office, listings for your firm. Okay, I have a few more because I have a little bit higher security level so that I can help out with the association projects like this one. But they will have obviously whatever their entitlements are, whatever security level they're set to. If they want to see how much they have active, pending, closed, expired, they can actually run all of their inventory. They can even do date ranges. I want to see everything I had listed or sold for last year. So this is available for them. They don't always have to come to you. This is available for the agents to do on their own. Of course, you can do it too. If you want to know, if your firm wants to know how many listings have we had to date, well, you can go to listings for your office, type in the listing statuses you're looking for, the date range, and it will pull that up for you. So maybe you want to go back just 6 months. I want to know how many listings we've had in the last 6 months for my office. So you can run that. The other thing, and remember, you can add that down here too. Make it nice and easy. Just click on it, ready to go, right? The other thing that is here for admins, this is something that a lot of brokerages are using for statistical reporting. If you go over to resources, one of the broker tools that you will see under resources is statistical reporting. Sorry, I got a new computer, so I'm not quite used to the mouse yet. So you'll see me kind of run over it every once in a while, and it doesn't want to play nice yet. So statistical reporting allows you, the admin, to go in and let's say you want to know office rankings. You want to know where your agents rank within the office. Who's the top shooter? You can go to office rankings. You can go to agent rankings. You could say, okay, I want to know an agent within our office, an agent within our whole firm. Remember, the whole company. Maybe you want to do agent within an office. You want to see how many sold for, and you'll have listings for your office. I think you can even run it on, I'm not sure if you can run it on other agent listings depending on your security level. I'm not sure if that's something I have or not, but you can actually you can save a template. So again, you don't have to keep doing this again and again, but you can actually change this to listings for your office. You can actually see how many sold listings you had in this date range. You can change it by class. You could pick the area. So you can create these reports and you can save them. And a lot of times brokers are using that as basically their volume report. So at the company sales meeting, we knew who did the best, who had the most listings, who had the most sales. So all of that is going to be under statistical reporting. And there are so many statistical reports now. A lot of our brokers in this area were buying a program called Broker Metrics, which is a very, very expensive program. A couple of them were paying several $1,000s a month. So when we saw what it was just the MLS data. So what we said is we're going to do that same thing for our brokers, give them the advantage, and we're going to give them those great tools that they could actually get through a program like Broker Metrics without having to pay thousands of dollars. It's already in here. So you can actually use these different style of reports. Again, if you want to know what's going on, how many days on market, how long is it taking to get things pending and under contract? These are all reports that are set up for you. You just plug in the numbers, and most brokers are happy to find that it certainly helps. It helps also tell the broker where they fall compared to other offices. So you can see where your brokerage falls compared to other brokers in that area too. Okay. Right now is a great time. It is the let me show you again. I'm sorry. No problem. I know, because when you're an admin, you're doing like a million things at one time. So the easiest way probably to find it, Erica, if you have it, is I would probably go to your market monitor, click on 11 or how many ever new listings you have. That'll bring you to the reports. The reports over here to the right. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, see if you have that audits. That's what I'm looking for to find out. It may not be available at your security level, but I think you should have it. So that will tell me if not, and at least it will tell me what I need to be looking at. Okay, so all the way, click on any record that you have, any new listings, go over to reports, go down to the bottom, and you should see audit. This is also if an agent accidentally clicks off of the UPAR all fields detail, let's say they click into the client view or something, that's where you're going to redirect them to click on that UPAR all fields data. Okay, great. Thank you. That'll help me. And then I'll get back to you on that, Erica. I'm going to check with Brian and see the status that admins are, what level of security, because I thought you guys could see that audit, but that may be something you have to get from UPAR itself. Let me check on that. I'm going to get back to you. That I should have known, and I apologize. I didn't know if that's UPAR security level or if admins can see it. So I'll have to check on that one. Okay, so if you're like me, you're probably thinking, holy cow, this lady talks a lot, and hopefully you picked up a couple helpful tips today. Hopefully, and it's a little harder with admins because everybody on the admin staff is doing something a little different. So it's not a generic out-of-the-box class, unfortunately, like it is for the agents. So hopefully you did pick up something that you found a little bit helpful. If you missed something in this class and you want to watch it again, you can go. I'll probably have it done. I'm hoping to have all the classes up there by Friday. I think I'm missing 2 right now. If you go to the resources section under education, you'll find some helpful links. One we just added this morning, the CE Marketplace. A lot of brokers are using that to make sure their agents have their Con Ed caught up, or agents can use that as well. But down here, you're going to find something called recorded webinars. That's this class. Every class that we've done for UPower, I've recorded, and I put the date next to it. So when you're ready to find this, it basically takes you to our YouTube channel. But you don't want to have to search through 455 videos, which is how many we have up there right now. So you go to playlists. And all you're going to do is you're going to look for the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtor playlist, which is right here. Click on the playlist and it's going to show you every single class that we've done up to now. All you have to do is find the date next to the class that you're looking for. So you'll look for today's date. You'll click on it and it will start to play that. It'll start to play that video. You can fast forward to the area that you need, or if there's an agent in your office who's commonly asking you, how do I set up the clap center again? You may want to direct them to this because there's videos on every single product that UPAR is providing through us. And so there's some helpful little tips and tricks and things like that. So let's see if there's any other questions. We can go ahead and address those. Oh, you know what? Okay, let me take, yes. So CE Marketplace we added just this morning, Amanda. And thank you, Francine. That's so nice. You made my day. This is one of the harder classes, I have to be honest. And I'm always worried, like, am I helping the admins? Because it's a lot of information. Everybody does something so different. So thank you so much for the kind words, because this is one of the more challenging classes, definitely to teach. Where we were just talking about under the resources, I'm going to go back to resources for a minute. We added the CE Marketplace right here. And so that was something that we were talking to one of the other MLSs that we vendor, and they brought up yesterday. It'd be really nice to have a place to go and see that. We've recently added a couple ones. We've added Laura under here. We've added CE Marketplace. There was another one that we just added that was really good. It was a property tax estimator. Where did we put that? I thought it was right under here. Now I'm not seeing it. We added a property tax estimator, which I thought Brian put right under here, but now I'm not seeing it. I'm gonna have to check on that one too. So whenever we come up with great links, and by the way, for the UPAR staff, if there is a link that you would find helpful, like some of our vendors have added county links to like county records, like where it takes them not to the record, but to the site to find the record. If that would be helpful to you, you can let us know and we can make that available just for your membership. Ones that we made available to everybody, obviously, were Laura, the recorded webinars. We also did one that I just don't see it on here. I'm sure I'm missing it, but it's a property tax estimator for Michigan. And it's just the link to the michigan.gov site. So it's nothing fancy. And then other ones that we added recently, again, CE Marketplace. It's really bothering. Maybe we put it under tax. That's where it is. I'm like, I thought I was losing my mind for a minute. I'm like, I spent a lot of time on this. Where is this? The under tax, there is a property tax estimator. It basically takes you to the .gov site. Where, you can estimate, do a rough estimation of taxes. But anyway, long story short, there's some good links under there. So check them out. The tax one makes sense, would be under taxes. The other ones are under resources. You'll find the Laura link and the CE Marketplace link. So, hopefully that's helpful. Hi, Colleen. We don't see the online courses, that should, hi, Colin. We don't see the online courses that brings us to the YouTube channel. Okay. So you don't see, so when you go to resources, you don't see the recorded webinars under education? Because if you don't, I can have that added right away for you, but it should be under your education recorded webinars, because we have got to make sure you have that. No. Okay. I will work on that as soon as we hang up. So I apologize. It's supposed to be there for all of our vendors. And we certainly want it makes it a whole lot easier when you can actually go right to it when I'm pointing out. So I apologize. It was just brought to my attention by Amanda and Kaylee that under resources, you are not seeing the recorded webinar. So I will get that added immediately when we hang up. It's supposed to be right under your education, under resources. In the meantime, you can go to YouTube and type in my REALTORS, and that will bring you to the main list. But I'm going to get this added so it will be much easier. We want you to be able to go in. We want the resources to kind of like be like your online toolbox, right? We want you to be able to go to recorded webinars. And again, once you click on that, and I will have that added today, I will send you a message as soon as it's complete. We want you to be able to go right to playlists. We want you to find that Upper Peninsula Association of Playlists. All you're going to do is click on that, and that will have all of those classes listed there. So my apologies. Brian said he turned it on for all the vendors. So I will reach out to him directly after this class and figure out why that is not showing up in your resources. So my apologies, but I promise you I will have that done today. So thank you so much. It is under education. The education corner, the only reason I don't want it to be there, and you're right, you can access the education corner, but here's what's happening a lot with our vendors. So let me kind of just throw this out there real quick. The education corner is really something we designed. We're down the road, we are planning to have a template where our vendors can also do this. We created like this newsletter, kind of, I know UPAR with all the great information that they pass along. They probably maybe do it through the email or things like that. The problem is, the education corner tells you that there are certain required classes. But of course, if you are with UPAR, we don't require you take those classes. Of course, you're welcome to take any of our classes. We've got a lot of specialty classes like photos and things like that. But UPAR has their own requirements. UPAR kept their own rules, their own rules and regs, their own system. We just sort of give them the software so they can tell you what's required and not. In our education corner, it's really designed for our members because we have things that like time frames and fines if you don't attend are required. So that's the only thing about the education corner. You're right, the class list is there, but some of them say required, and I didn't want everyone to be confused by that. So that's the only reason I wouldn't recommend the education corner. It's a great newsletter and you're welcome to look at it, but it may say like you have 30 days to take this class or we're going to fine you. Well, that of course does not apply to UPAR. So that's the only reason I wouldn't want to send people there. However, you're welcome to take a look at it. Just know that UPAR has their own rules. And a lot of those classes that we require, that say required, they talk about the My RealSource rules, and those are different than UPAR. UPAR has their own rules, their own statuses. They have their own, they are their own entity, so their rules may differ from ours. So that's the only thing. So I will get that added under resources right away. I'll get that playlist there for you. Of course, UPAR staff, if there's anything you can think of, thank you so much, Nicole. That is so nice. Makes me feel so good because, again, this is a really hard class, especially because it's different all over the state. So I hope it helped a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words. It makes me feel good. Hope you have a great day. Hopefully you're going to get some spring weather. Happy selling, and hopefully these couple tips and tricks will make it easier when you're doing so much for all those in your office. So thanks again. Have a great day, everybody.